Hey, this is Dirk from Orden Ogan, and you're listening to Tinnitus Metal Radio.
Your album Gunman is out for over about a year now. You have been touring all over Europe. Are you happy with both the critical and fan reaction?
Everything went great. I mean, we went into the German charts at 8 or something. And the tour was really successful, and we're playing all these great festivals this summer, so couldn't be any better.
Very nice. Where do you get your inspiration and how do you write? And could you tell me something more about that? And also for the newcomers, can you elaborate a bit about Alistair Vale? What's the importance for Orden Ogan in that one?
The normal way of songwriting, it's like somebody has an idea, and then we check it out in the studio. And
well, do you write on tour, or do you write always at home in your own studio then?
There are a lot of bands that they're writing new songs on tour. We only writing songs in the studio.
And Alistair Vale.
There seems to be that there was some guy with a coat and a red scarf on the first record.
Yes.
And he was named Alistair Vale. He's an immortal who is forced. He has a curse, and is forced to walk on and on and on, and everything he leaves dies or decays behind him. And there was a concept story on the first record, Vale, but since then we just kept him like a mascot, like Iron Maiden's Eddie.
How did you come up with the Western look?
I think actually we always thought about doing a Wild West themed record, and when we started songwriting for Gunman, basically like the first two songs we wrote had some sort of Western score, Ennio Morricone melodies in it. I think the very first thing we did was Down Here, and it totally sounds like it is from a Ennio Morricone movie, and so we're like, okay, then this is the time.
You were playing really early here at the Alcatraz Festival. Is it more difficult to get the crowd excited at an hour like that? Or, today there was a lot of people.
It depends on the country. Orden Ogan was doing pretty well in Germany for the last years, and now it's finally going over the borders. So it actually was not a problem. Actually, you have a lot more like preparation time when you play that early, like a first band on the main stage today. So that was fine. And yes, of course, it takes a little more energy to get the people moving.
Yeah, because it was the third day already here.
And that was what I wanted to say, was the third day, and they had like beer and sun for 2 days. And considering that, I think it was amazing. You know, so many people showed up, and the mood was incredible. So it was a perfect day for us.
You have your own recording studio. In what way is it easier to record songs? Don't you have a feeling that a song is never really ready because you have the time to work on it as long as you like?
Quite the opposite. Actually, I started the studio and to translate my vision of the band into audible reality, if you want so. And there was a lot of practice in the last years, obviously, but I started with that, like doing the first recordings like 15 years ago or something like that. And so meanwhile, I'm at a point where I really know what I'm doing, and stuff just turns out the way it should. And so actually for me it's the other way around. It's the perfect way of getting really across what you want to say.
Would you agree that at first you were more folk oriented and now it's more power metal?
I think the first albums, especially Eastern Hope, is more folk. There are more folk elements in it, but for me, Orden Ogan is more power metal or more metal, not typical power metal. It's that the riffs are much more harder than in a typical power metal band. I think so.
That's right, but I actually also think it's got to do a lot with instrumentation. I mean, on the early records we did a lot more with orchestrations. I think Gunman is full of orchestra as well, but it's not mixed that loud. And when you listen to a song like The Things We Believe In from To The End, which To The End was already one of the harder records I think the hardest one so far might be Ravenhead, maybe. But if you listen to the things we believe in, if you just strip down the electric guitars and the drums and take an acoustic guitar and a violin, it's a perfect folk song.
We have the time today to check out some other bands. Are you looking forward to something in particular?
For me, special Sepultura and Behemoth.
I saw Pumpkins United and In Flames at Wacken, and I thought both shows and stage production and stuff were amazing. So I'm really looking forward to see that tonight.
And does it happen a lot that you have time to check out other bands, or?
Actually, never. I mean, when we left into the grave on Friday, we had 4 hours of sleep, went into the plane, from the plane into the van. We arrived at Bloodstock, just put our stuff out of the van on stage. When we were finished, we put it back from stage into the van, went back to the airport, went here, and it's like, you know, like...
It's a bit crazy.
And then people expect you to remember all your lyrics.
Yeah. Next question. Is it easy to get airplay in Germany? Metal, does it get on TV, on the radio? Because here it's not really...
I think in the 90s there were more videos and channels for metal bands, and now you only hear the
mainstream pop songs. Yes. So YouTube is very important, and to get your videos out.
Most important tool, yep.
Yeah. Which Belgian metal bands do you like?
Aborted.
Oh yeah. You?
I'm currently thinking about if I know any Belgian metal bands. Actually, they're all from the Netherlands, right? Like Delane, Wisdom Temptations, all Dutch bands. I rarely know them, so actually
plenty of time to check it out.
I've been to the Galaxy studio in Belgium a few months ago, and they also told me about some Belgian metal bands, and I was like, it's interesting. It's like completely different world. A lot of them I never heard about that, and it's pretty similar actually in the UK. If you go to the UK and buy a Metal Hammer UK, you just look through it and there's like, okay, Dimmu Borgir, okay, Cradle of Filth, and the rest of the bands you've never heard about that. So it's a scene for its own.
I think Belgium is there more underground grindcore and death metal bands.
If you would organize your own festival with your favorite artists, dead or alive, who would you pick?
Miss Sugar, Led Zeppelin, Slayer, Porcupine Tree. It's not really metal, but it's a great band.
Actually, it's not that difficult if they can be dead. I never saw a Pantera show.
Oh, me neither. Oh, yeah, that's, yeah.
Sorry, Pantera. A lot of death metal stuff.